Welcome back. This is Season 6, Episode 2 of COMMCast. I'm your host, Ryan Forrest. COMMCast is a production led and created by the students of the COM 434 CommLab class. We choose to invite various different people and elevate their stories. Today's episode, we get to talk to Longwood Sports Information Director, Sam Hovan. So let's just jump right in. Joining us on set today is Sam Hovan. Sam, thank you for joining us.
Glad to do it. Love the music.
For our first question that we have for you, can you give us some background on your educational career?
Sure. I probably have a more non-traditional one than people in my role typically. I got my bachelor's degree in math and a minor in physics from Longwood University, a small Christian school in East Texas. And then I taught high school math for a couple of years and decided I wanted to do something different and try to get into broadcasting. Talked about applying to the University of Hawaii for a grad program. They didn't have something that would get me into what I wanted to do. So my dad was like, you should apply to Syracuse. I hear they've got a good school for broadcasting. And I looked up who'd been there and I was like, they very much do. So I applied to Syracuse and got into a master's program there. Again, 42 people of us in the program. All of my classmates had some sort of communications or English or writing or broadcasting background, and I was over here with my math background, and they all looked at me really funny, but that's kind of how I went, and I was not expecting everything to work out, and it did. It was really fun.
All right. So how did you end up at Longwood University?
So I moved here from Yuma, Arizona. So my family and I actually we were 3 hours on each side from literally moving coast to coast. But I had, as a part of working at Syracuse or working on my master's at Syracuse, I had done an internship in Durham, North Carolina with Chris Cook, who was a sports information director at Duke at the time. Not Dr. Chris Cook of the Honors College. Chris Cook formerly worked at Longwood, now works at Letterpress Communications. But I interacted with him some while covering Duke football and Duke basketball a little bit and some other sports. Anyways, fast forward multiple years later, when I was out at Arizona Western College in Yuma, Arizona, I saw that the job at Longwood opened up that I applied for. I reached out to Chris and said, hey, we worked together. I don't know if you remember me because it was for a month 5 years ago, but I did. And so I found out the position opened up through a website that I used to track some industry jobs and things like that, and applied and had the opportunity to come out here.
All right, that's awesome. So what has it been like working at a smaller NCAA Division I institution?
It's really unique. I think the fun piece is that you get to do a lot of everything. You know, you get to wear a lot of different hats. You kind of can try to do a lot of different stuff on a daily basis, whether it's doing a broadcast, one of my first times I was here, I worked a camera for a broadcast because that's where they needed the help. You get to write stories, and I think that's probably the thing I enjoy the most is the unique stories that you get to tell at the level that we're at. We kind of get to control and create and show what we get to do on a daily basis, and that's really fun. Obviously, it's challenging, but I think one of the things you learn as you're at various levels, every single level has challenges. It's just different depending on where you're at, but every single level have things that are really difficult to do on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. How do you connect the community with Longwood Athletics through your position in athletics?
That's a good question, and it's one of the things that I think is constantly evolving. When you look at how things were 10 years ago, social media was wildly different. It was kind of starting to become a thing that you use to connect. Now, it's a really good avenue to do it, but how do you actually get people to see it who don't already follow you? So I would say one of the areas that we try to do that is we do try to use social media as a major point to say, hey, let's get some information out there. But with the algorithms and the way that in the process of how they work, it's constantly changing as what's the best one, what's the best audience, some of those kinds of things. We also try to tell stories, meaningful stories that people will be interested in, not just who won, who lost, but when we can, we try to tell stories about the hows, the whys, and the people behind it. And we really value that, And I think that really connects with people who are invested and find what we do. We try to also connect with the local community by just simply being out and about in the community. Not just me specifically, but hey, our teams do that, and we try to encourage that and showcase that where we can.
Okay. You talked about stories, and telling a story on the screen is a big part of it. However, what people don't know is behind the scenes stuff. So can you tell us about what your favorite broadcast memory is?
Ooh, favorite broadcast memory. That's tough. I don't know if I have one specific one that stands out. I guess one of my favorite ones is actually one I was not present for, but it was a play that made SportsCenter a couple years ago, the year after COVID. So there were no fans in the stands or anything like that, and Longwood had a player hit a half-court shot, but he shot the ball with like 8 or 9 seconds left in the clock, and he made it, and it won the game. But I just remember that broadcast memory because TJ Wingert, a Longwood communications student, was on the call. His call was perfect for the moment, and I specifically remember it because Sean Wade made the shot, but I don't know that our head basketball coach, Griff Aldrich, saw it go in because just due to a weird quirk, different time and clock situations that happened, and Deshaun thought the time was running down. It wasn't. So he put up the half-court shot, and Griff just puts his head in his hands and turns away. And the fact that we captured it on the air and it made it on SportsCenter, that's one that's awesome because all the different elements that you'd want are there to tell that story in pictures. Even if you heard nothing about it, you just watch all the pieces, and it was excellent. Like I said, I wasn't even there. I had to watch it because of my wife was sick at the time, so I had the fun of quarantining, and I was watching and listening to that game from afar. But that, to me, was one of those memories that I will never forget.
That's awesome. Even if you're not there for those moments, like it's such a fun moment to see. It really is.
Well, and because I'm involved in a lot of the pieces around it, I help oversee and manage our broadcast stuff. And so even though I may not be there, I know the work that's going in behind the scenes. I know the work that our students who are basically running most of the operation, I know what they're putting in to make it happen. And so anytime I can see something that they do, that's really cool to see that work really elevated in that sort of a role. Trying to think of other broadcast memories, and personally for me, getting to call a national tournament game on the radio, that's obviously a dream come true for somebody who wants to be a broadcaster.
All right, that's awesome. It really is. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back to test Sam Hovan with some math questions. All right, welcome back everyone. Today we are putting Sam's degree to the test. We will be giving him a speed math quiz. He will have 20 seconds to answer 12 multiplication questions. Sam, these are going to be the questions that we ask.
Okay.
And we will start in, let's say, 3 seconds.
Okay.
Your time starts now.
28, 40, 48, 24, 32, 8, 80, 160, 44, 12, 36, and 16.
That's why you have the degree. It really is. Look at that. Not a single one is wrong. I don't even have to check it. I believe you. I really do. Next, you're going to have 20 seconds to solve 7 division problems. These are your 7. And we're going to go ahead and start now.
6, 1, 9, 5, 7, 8, and 335, I think.
Wow. Should we check that last one?
I'm pretty sure that last one's right.
That's correct. Not a single one wrong on either one. That is fantastic. Great job, Sam.
Thanks.
Now that we've finished an absolute nail-biter of a math quiz, I want to thank Sam Hovan for coming out today and the entire cast and crew of COMMCast. We will be back same time and same place on Wednesday next week at 1:30. Thank you guys. Goodbye.